Welcome to episode 188 of the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Brightman, coming to you on Friday the 13th. Just a monster weekend for, pun intended, for Rutgers men's basketball on the recruiting front. Five heralded recruits scheduled to take official visits. And the best part of it is three of them are already committed. And Rutgers is legitimately in it for the other two. So Ace Bailey, number 3 recruit in the 2024 class. Such a bright future, committed to the program last winter. Has obviously been on campus several times. And his former teammate and childhood best friend, Jamichael Davis, is a freshman on the team. Ace Bailey taking his finally taking an official visit. Obviously, very busy over the summer with so many events. To get him there for homecoming weekend is huge. And to also have him there with two other members of the 24 class, 4-star big man Lathan Somerville and 3-star wing Bryce Dortch. He was a 4-star when he verbally committed. He's been downgraded a little bit. I wouldn't read too much into that. You know, he plays on the Adidas circuit. He's not on the Nike EYBL circuit. I honestly think that does have something to do with it. All of his upside still exists, but I'm just trying to be factual in calling him a current 3-star recruit. He's still a top 150 composite consensus recruit. So that is still, pretty high. He's like 7 off being a 4-star on the 247. Regardless, all three of those guys are on campus. The fourth commit for the 24 class, Dylan Grant, is not on campus. He had a scheduling conflict, but he committed right at the end of the summer. Him and Dortch are both, athletic, tough wings that can really defend multiple positions, can get to the rim, create their own shot. Somerville is, I'm so excited about his future. He's a big bruiser down low, can really rebound, but he's got tremendous footwork. He has guard skills. He had a growth spurt, when he was late in his youth, and really has a lot of versatility in his offensive game. In terms of like a big man, he's already advanced for his age in terms of his offensive skills. Like I've said before, I think the 2024 class, the way it's constructed, it's balanced in multiple ways. Balanced in the sense of, they fit on paper together. They all have different skill sets. Like I said, Dortch and Grant are similar, but you can never have enough athletic, versatile wings. So that, and then in addition to that, the fact that you have Ace Bailey, who, listen, he's already on like the top 5, top 7 picks of most draft boards for the 2025 class. But then you also have a lot of talent in that class that's going to be back for multiple years. So it's the best of both worlds. Rutgers, first of all, I mean, the idea, Duke, Kentucky, and Kansas are probably maybe not even North Carolina. Those 3 schools are the ones that, get the 5 stars that are all one and done. And then they're constantly rebuilding, right? In terms of, they're rebuilding with 5 stars, but still, the fact that Rutgers has balance in this class in terms of, a potential one and done. And then you have other guys that are going to be long-term contributors, but are still highly talented and rated really high recruiting wise, is a win-win. And then you have 2 5-star guards that would just be, tremendous gets for the program. Of course, we're talking about Dylan Harper, the number 2 recruit in the 24 class, has visited the program many times. Finally getting him on campus for an official visit. This is strategic in the sense of, they didn't want to have him as an official too early in his recruitment. There have been, reports that maybe he was going to visit Kansas and Auburn this fall. It doesn't really seem like that's going to actually happen. He has previously visited Indiana and Duke. Duke has long been thought of as kind of the number 1 threat when it comes to Harper and Rutgers potentially getting him. But getting him on campus for an official visit is huge. Getting him on campus for homecoming with the majority of the 24 class that's already committed is just, it's great planning, but it's also a momentum swing in terms of getting them all in the room together. and getting them all on campus together, building camaraderie, building a bond. Obviously, Harper and Bailey have it's been a much written about, and I'm guilty of it, in terms of their friendship and just how they've gelled on the court over the summer, playing in multiple events together. And they just seem like they are super tight. Bailey's been very adamant about recruiting Harper to Rutgers. Harper has gone down to Atlanta and played with Bailey's team, AAU team. So it's there's a lot of synergy there. And getting them all together this weekend. You have Night Fest tonight. Night Society, in partnership with Knights of the Raritan. They got some big time corporate sponsors here. They got UBS, they got Prudential, they got Garnier. That's super impressive that they got those brands to help sponsor the event. It's an NIL event for the Rutgers men's basketball team, and then you have these top recruits all there to see it. So just it's refreshing. I guess it's par for the course for successful organizations, but to see Rutgers men's basketball operating at such a high level in terms of their organization, their planning, their strategic vision for things, to have all these top recruits on, to have it during homecoming, to have this Night Fest NIL event. Last night they had a tremendous event where they had a banquet honoring the late Joe Boylan, longtime assistant and a radio color analyst of Rutgers men's basketball. I had the pleasure of meeting Joe multiple times, and he was a legend, truly, in terms of his presence and impact with the program. And to see Steve Pikiell and the administration honoring him with an annual award now for anyone that gives great contributions to the program. It's awesome. It's super classy, but it just, I'm not enunciating very well, but for someone that's been a fan of this program for decades, to see everything clicking, not just on the court, but just in terms of the people that are in charge, the decisions that are being made, the belief that's being brewed amongst everybody, the relationships that are being strengthened. Jerry Carino reporting today that in addition, the program is going to be honoring former greats of the program with a Ring of Honor. They announced today. Carino always on the ball in terms of his reporting, saying that all three remaining players of the 1976 Final Four team, Eddie Jordan, Mike Dabney, and Hollis Copeland, will be the inaugural members of the Knights of Honor. And their teammates, Phil Sellers, who recently passed away, rest in peace, Phil Sellers, legend, and then James Bailey. They have their numbers retired along with Bob Lloyd. You have to be at least a second team All-American to get your jersey retired. So obviously that is not going to happen very often. But these three additional members of the 1976 Final Four team, Eddie Jordan, Mike Dabney, and Hollis Copeland, are going into the Knights of Honor, which will be an annual class inauguration. So there's some obvious names that, I'm sure eventually we'll get in. Roy Henson, John Battle, Quincy Doobie all come to mind pretty easily. I'll noodle on it in the future and probably I might even do an episode on who I think will get in. But it's a great thing. It's a great thing. And I'd be remiss not to mention that Mike McDonald, also a member of that team, was honored with the inaugural Joe Boylan Award last night for all his contributions. And he has, been great to the program for years and really fostered a relationship with Pikiell. So it's just, the vibes are good. The vibes are really good right now with the program. You have all these top recruits on campus, and it's just really refreshing, and everyone is, listen, you want to be the best, right? And of course, last season was disappointing, but it really does feel like a natural next step is happening in terms of just the long-term traditions being fostered by the program, Pikiell's, continued influence and vision in terms of how the culture is being cultivated, right? It's not just about building a culture. It's not just about insulating it amongst the current players. They really are expanding now and building relationships again with former players and celebrating the traditions of the program, right? And that is something that honestly Rutgers as a whole hasn't really done that well over the years in multiple areas. And it's just great to see that basketball, they have my header from my Twitter is the Jim Valvano "Don't Ever Give Up" montage that they have at the rack. That it was done in the Pikiell era. There's just so many odes to the past now. Obviously the barn where the Night Fest is tonight was named after Valvano. It's Valvano Court. It's just things were just so disjointed for so long and negative and just hopeless. And if you had said 8 years ago when Steve Pikiell was hired that we'd be talking about a weekend right now the way we are, and I don't mean just the recruits, and I don't mean just celebrating the past and bringing so many people into the program and taking care of in terms of relationships with so many that have made the program great and help make it even better as the future of what everybody wants, along with having all these recruits. Also, just in terms of the outlook of this team, yes, they were voted 10th in the media poll, but this team has a chip on its shoulder. This team is going to be fun to watch. And I just think I know people call me a homer sometimes, but just in terms of the personnel and the way this current roster fits and the chemistry, I think they have the style, I think in which they're going to play, the balance I think they're going to have. I think this team's going to exceed expectations. And it's just, we're on mid-October, and it's just hopeful time. It's a hopeful time. And a monster recruiting weekend. Dylan Harper, he said this week to a reporter he would decide sometime between Christmas and May. Listen, he deserves all the respect in the world in terms of his time frame. I know some Rutgers fans are like, when's he going to, he's got to commit already, blah, 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 blah. He doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. Whenever he is ready to make that decision, and, obviously, hopefully it's Rutgers, but he's a 17-year-old kid. I mean, he needs his time. And, he's got a great family support system, obviously with his brother, Ron, his mother, his father. I think at the end of the day, Steve Pikiell has done everything he can. And I think at the end of the day that you just have to rest on that, and the fact that they got him on campus this weekend is huge. And everyone just got to be patient, right? With this program, I mean, it's taken years to get it to where it is. It's been a steady build by Steve Pikiell, but the trajectory continues to go up. And this weekend, we could look back on and say, the future was really solidified. The high ceiling future for this program was solidified this current weekend that we're in right now. And it's, it's one of those weekends for everybody. It's like for Rutgers football, I wrote about, I think it's a seminal moment in the program's trajectory for Greg Schiano. If you win these next two games, you're going bowling. And also it's just positive perception, no matter what happens after that, going into next season of the build. You break through with that bowl game, and it's a boon for recruiting, everything. You lose Saturday, and it's going to make it into a bowl game that much harder. And you don't want to go in the offseason wondering when's it going to happen. So it's a huge weekend for football. It's a huge weekend for basketball. I know people aren't as in touch with the Olympic sports, but women's soccer got a big win over Michigan yesterday. They're kind of back onto the bubble for the NCAA tournament. If they host Michigan State, who's ranked on Sunday. If they can win that, they're right back in the mix. Then you have field hockey, undefeated. They have two Big Ten matches. They're playing a top 10 Ohio State team this weekend. On Friday. Their magical season has been just unbelievable so far. So there's it's a huge weekend. It's homecoming weekend, but it's just a lot of positive vibes going on right now with Rutgers athletics. And we've talked about it before, but this weekend hits the nail on the head, and nothing just in terms of the future and the hope and the belief in a program is more personified than Rutgers men's basketball right now in this moment with the star power that they have on campus. It's phenomenal. And, there was always this, well, they got, it was a long time for Pikiell when he was getting these recruits, high-end recruits, but he wasn't, really he was maybe in the Final Four, Final Five, but wasn't landing them. Then, boom, you get Cliff. Boom, you get Gavin Griffiths, who's got a huge, very high ceiling. Really excited for him. I don't know if you caught my piece on him and my interview with him. It's on my YouTube channel from Media Day last week. But he's really going to be I think he could be the leading scorer this year. And now you have this 24 class. Early signing period is only a month away. You have Ace Bailey on campus with Layson Somerville and Bryce Dortch. Dylan Harper is on campus as well. So that's going to be huge just in terms of, if they can land him, I mean, it's going to be really exciting. And then Trey McKinney, let's not forget about him, and Smoke Williamson, new assistant coach, getting McKinney on campus, plays for the family AAU program out in Michigan, which Smoke used to run. Also, Darius Acuff, a top recruit in the 25 class, confirmed he's visited in February. He talked about in his interview recently that he said, wow, Ace Bailey is going to Rutgers. So Ace Bailey is like such a huge salesman right now for Rutgers. And then you have, and both of those guys, Acuff and McKinney, happen to be, by the way, teammates with Dylan Strong in terms of the commit that won't be there this weekend. So there's a lot of synergy there. There's a lot of connections there. And getting McKinney and then future in terms of, Dylan Grant. I knew Strong wasn't right. I have Ian Strong in my brain. Dylan Grant, the three-star wing that committed from Michigan in late August. He's not going to be there this weekend due to a scheduling conflict, but he is teammates with McKinney and Acuff. They all have connections to Smoke Williamson, who has great relationships with all of them. So that hire is really, really intriguing by the day right now in terms of recruiting. There's just a lot of positive vibes going on, and I can't be more excited. And I know I rambled a little bit. It's been a long week, and we're going into a very exciting weekend. I hope you stay safe out there, have fun out there, and I hope Rutgers wins a ton. And I just can't wait to see where this all goes on the recruiting front for Rutgers men's basketball. Thank you for listening and watching, and once again, here at the Scarlet Faithful.